Welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. I'm your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs and their leadership teams get what they want out of business and life. On the show, I invite successful business owners and expert speakers to share their successes. They are open and honest about the highs and lows of business and also life as a business owner. We want to share those learnings with you to inspire you, but also to help you avoid some of the common mistakes. My hope is that you take something from each of these short episodes that you can put into action to help you get what you want, not only out of your business, but also your life. So welcome to another edition of Better Business, Better Life. Today, I am really thrilled to be here with Emily Ransone, who is based in the San Francisco Bay Area over in the US. And Emily is not only a professional EOS implementer, but she has actually used EOS in her businesses and also run businesses without using EOS. So she's got this great knowledge of how to use EOS in a business and we're going to talk about pivoting a business as well. So welcome, Emily. Lovely to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Deborah.
I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. So what I'd like to do, Emily, is just start off. Could you give us a little bit of a background about your story and within that, give us a professional and personal success as well?
Sure. I think the easiest way to sum it up is these days I'm enjoying a very multifaceted career, I like to say. And it's because I'm living kind of my dream career life, if you will. And I've crafted it intentionally over time. And so the first facet of that is business related. So I co-own a furniture business enterprise, and I can share more about that in a moment. And then I'm also a professional business coach. And then I'm also a published author, little known fact.
Yep. Did not know that. Yeah.
And I also facilitate a monthly peer group helping business owners and leaders kind of sort through their biggest challenges. And so it's a lot of fun. These days, I'm having a lot of fun, and I couldn't do that if I weren't living what we call the EOS life. So if you'd like me to dive into that, I'm happy to.
Yeah, please tell us a little bit more about, what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So you mentioned this in the intro, and I appreciate that. I've run a business without EOS, and I've run a business with EOS. Now, let me explain what that means. When I first got into entrepreneurship, I didn't know what I was doing. It's not like I went to school and learned how to run a business. And at the time, I found this business was in need of a turnaround situation. It was a $13 million office furniture dealership down in the southwest part of the United States. And it was just so much fun to dig into. And yet I could have done it better. Now that I know what I know, It would have been easier and faster. And so when I moved into the opportunity to buy in as third owner of a $50 million office furniture dealership, my two partners and I quickly realized that we really wanted to come together and figure out our vision for where we wanted to take the company. And so luckily at that time, I was a part of a peer group. And in that group, I heard about EOS, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a way of operating and running a business more effectively and efficiently so that you can get more out of the business and actually enjoy the business more. And so we quickly adopted the tools and principles, embarked on the EOS journey. And within 2 short years, we were looking for ways to burn cash. I'm not kidding. It was actually really fun. We were taking really fun executive retreats to places like Tulum and Cabo San Lucas and Fiji. And then we self-funded 2 startups to the tune of $2 million each. Not kidding. And so the first one is on ice. The second one is off the ground. We have liftoff. We're super excited. And quite literally, we couldn't have been changing our business model from a standard, kind of outdated, boring office furniture dealership model to this new direct to consumer business model if we weren't operating with a common language, a common set of tools, a common vision. And so it really helped us be able to fly the plane and change the make and model of the plane while we were mid-flight. That's how I can best describe it to you. And so now our business is about taking all the inefficiencies out of our sector of the commercial real estate industry. And so what we do is we act as kind of the manufacturer, so the maker of the products, all the way through to the delivery and service end. Whereas before it was like you'd go see one entity for this, and then hopefully they would work with this entity for that. And so it was a lot of cooks in the kitchen,
yes,
and a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money. And so now we source stuff directly, kind of like what you find in the mattress industry. It's called a direct-to-consumer business model. It used to be that you would go to the mattress store. Now you just buy your mattress online. Or think about Warby Parker. They upset the glasses industry in the same way, or Away luggage. There's so many now that are really relevant in the retail sector. And so we're just bringing that same model over to the business sector. And it has just been so much fun. So we save clients time because our products are in stock. And then we save them money because we're their source, right? It's the whole source. And so we save them up to 30 or 40%. And so that's been really fun. And quite literally, again, we couldn't be doing what we did over the past several years, especially during a pandemic.
Yes.
That would sink most startups. Couldn't have done it if we weren't running on EOS. And so I jokingly say I'm the poster child of EOS, but it's kind of true.
I think you are.
And so, I followed my passion and became a professional EOS implementer a couple of years ago. And now I've carved out day-to-day operational time from the Magnus, which is our direct-to-consumer startup, so that I can focus on other things that I truly enjoy. So I sit on the board of 2 nonprofit entities, and then also am a business coach, actually teaching these tools and principles to other business leaders and owners. And I just light up at the end of a session day. I am so electrified.
I know the feeling.
I kind of wonder like what's in my water, but no, it's so true. I just I get so excited for seeing what is possible for these clients and what they're capable of. And I can almost see 2 to 3 steps ahead where they're heading. And I kind of joke because it's like the EOS gods are smiling down on you, but it's true. They start to embody and bring things into their business that they never thought possible. And so it's been so rewarding for me. It just really has. And, a part of that journey was writing my book, Growth Junkies Unite. And it's because, we all go through this cycle in our career, in our lives, where we need something to kind of reinvigorate, whether you're early in your journey and you're kind of learning some of these tools, or you're later in your journey and you're kind of burned out. So I jokingly say this is a simple, because it is, guide to invigorate your journey. It's quite literally because this is me. It's full of bullet points and
I love it.
Factoids, and it's a quick read. I mean, you can literally read this in 20 to 30 minutes, but it's jam-packed full of great nuggets, and it's meant to get someone ready to dive back in, to engage in that hunger for growth. Because in my mind, you're at 2 ends of a stick. You're either growing or dying, and I'd rather be at that growth end of that stick. So, so that's kind of my little nugget that I guess I would share, is to always be striving for that growth. Right. And I think that's why, EOS is just such a great fit for me, because I'm always looking for ways to grow and improve. So
perfect.
I'll stop there.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because, we get taught in universities and things that there's this classic kind of growth curve that just goes like the old hockey stick, and business isn't like that, right? We all know that there are points that the business gets to where it hits the ceiling and just can't seem to get past that. What would you say are the sort of the hitting the ceiling moments in your business before you kind of brought EOS into it?
Yeah, I think, we were the biggest. This was an office furniture dealer that was kind of well known in the San Francisco Bay Area, and frankly, up and down the West Coast. Had all these awards and accolades. And I got to be honest with you, before I came into the picture, 0 profit dollars to show for it. And so we knew we really needed to retrench and retool. And so because of that, we didn't want to lose the flavor, the essence of what SideMark had embodied. We were proud of that. And yet we knew we wanted to do something more innovative. This side of our commercial real estate industry is just stale. There's been very little innovation. And so, this is our attempt to shake things up and basically say, look, we can do it better. So people are starting to sit up and take notice. It's been really rewarding and really fun.
So is there a particular tool in EOS that is kind of the hero tool for you?
Yeah, I think there's a few on the personal level. So one is the Delegate and Elevate tool. And, early in your journey, that's not possible because your time capacity is a huge issue. You're just trying to stay afloat. You feel like that hamster on the treadmill that just can't get off. As you get into your journey with EOS, using the tools and principles, the thing that will happen is this magical ability to start to understand how to better delegate in order for you to be able to do what you love to do and are best at, which gives you energy, right?
Yeah.
You end your day feeling excited about what you're doing rather than depleted, which then starts to lead to stress, which starts to lead to illness, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a big one for me, was really finding that sweet spot. And some of that is learning what to say no to.
Sure.
So on the macro side, on the business side, the team side for Magnus, it's really that vision traction organizer, which is a 2-page strat planning document that is so powerful, yet so simple and effective. And it's because it grounds us, it keeps us on the same page, it keeps us all ignited, funneled in that same direction, and crystal clear on our top priorities. And so with literally a 2-page document, something powerful and profound happens. It's the compound effect, or it's the force magnifier. You're getting not just one or two people that might have this vision in their head. You're getting all these people in your organization fired up and excited. Yeah. And the capacity to make that happen then is taken off the owner's shoulders, right? Or the business, the leadership team's shoulders. And it makes it so that you have kind of this common galvanizing energy that moves you forward. And it's almost like a force takes over. Or, in the example that you hear so often, it's the flywheel. Once you get the actual wheel spinning, the momentum will start to carry itself. It's just like that. So that vision traction organizer was really profound for us, making that change from a different business model to the direct to consumer model.
Perfect. And you've talked about obviously running a business without EOS. Would you say that you actually had a plan back in those days? Did people know what you were trying to do? Like, I guess I'm trying to understand the difference between where you were when you weren't using EOS and what EOS then did for you.
Sure. I think luckily the president and owner, this is a family-owned business in the Southwest, was incredibly savvy, ran a very sound business. And so I could learn drafting off of that strategic planning element that he would have us as the leadership team do. And so that was very helpful. And then on top of that, I think because we had a good team in place already, I always say, if you can focus on getting the right people, the rest of stuff just really starts to take care of itself. All those issues that nag at you will start to get easier over time if you have the right people. If you don't, then everything's magnified times 10, and it's just going to take you longer, and it's going to feel like you're pushing that boulder uphill. And so because of those two elements, I feel like I was fortunate. And really, it was just taking the business from the vision of the previous general manager to where I saw it needed to go, and working through some kinks or bugs along the way. And luckily, I kind of had some of my own tools at the time in terms of how to make sure that I was getting the team focused and headed in the right direction. I just didn't have an easy 2-page document to warehouse it, right?
Yeah.
So, that's really the difference, is that it could have been much more simplified and more effective if I would have had those tools.
Yeah.
So really that's the difference.
I must agree. I mean, I spent 25 years running businesses for other people and then my own businesses. And I also coached for 10 years before I even took on board EOS. And a lot of the stuff was using tools that I'd come across, things I intuitively did. But what I loved about EOS when I came across it was just the simplicity and the framework that just makes it. The VTO is an absolute, dream tool to work with. But all of the tools are all just really, really simple but structured, which gives people a framework. Yeah.
The thing I love is that it's packaged in a way that you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And if you have a great coach that takes you through it step by step, they have the weight on their shoulders to make sure that you're learning what you need when you need it. You don't have to think about that. You just start plugging in and running your business. The issue without EOS was that I was trying to find these tools on my own.
Yes.
I was trying to learn them while I was running the business, which who has time for that?
Yeah.
It was just, it felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was just grabbing at everything. And so for a team, what that feels like is, oh, well, Emily's just going to bring us the workshop du jour, right? And if we just hold out long enough, it'll go away.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the things that I really appreciated was this was, just a completely packaged set of tools. And it was a journey that if I just plugged in, it would start to take care of itself. Yeah, you got to do the work because it's like building a muscle. It's like training for a triathlon. Because, if you've never done those three sports in tandem, it can be, you're using all these different muscle groups. It's the same with adopting something like this, whether you're building a true iOS operating system or a business operating system, you're having to learn a whole new set of principles and tools. And so, it still takes time and effort. And yet it also can be fun and much easier, especially with the right coach.
I completely agree.
For us there, Deborah.
Oh, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I remember when I was GM of a reasonably large organization, well, large for New Zealand, tiny for the US, but we had 220 staff and I was GM there. And I decided that I needed some tools and I went and did my MBA. And to be honest, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't do it again because I actually found that none of it was actually really useful when it came to running the business. I mean, it was wonderful, the sort of the things that you learned. And yeah, don't say I regret it, but I probably wouldn't do it again if I had a chance because I just felt it didn't really add to the running of the business. It was just a little bit too, what's the right word? A bit academic, I suppose, in terms of,
Right. Yeah. I always say, go get your real life MBA. Yeah. I mean, there's so much in terms of resources now that are free.
Yes.
That, I mean, if you can kind of figure out where and how to plug in a way that kind of streamlines it, right? Because when you Google something like growth or culture, like these big, wide open things, or you're going to get a million hits, right? So you got to know where to funnel that in. But at the same time, it's out there readily available for you. Yeah. And I like what you're saying, because I always say that too, get your real life MBA.
No, I completely agree. And I think that the one thing I loved about EOS, so I actually came across it because they launched into New Zealand using my event space. And I didn't actually get to the presentation, but I left a copy of the books, the Get a Grip and Traction. And I just read it and I went, oh my gosh, it's like my entire 50 years of my life has now been packaged down into 2 books that make it really easy to explain what it is that I do. But what I also love is that, we have this amazing community. So there's 300 or 400 of us around the world that we can actually tap into. So it's not as if you're only working with one person as your coach. You are literally having access to that entire community of people who are doing it. And the tool, the stuff that EOS Worldwide provides us with to actually support our clients is just fantastic.
It's world class.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree. Yeah.
Fully agree.
So if in terms of tips for people who are perhaps feeling like they're a little bit stuck, we've had a really tough year with COVID. We've had a lot of things going on. Maybe they feel like they've just stopped growing and they want to get reinvigorated. What would you recommend they do to start that process?
Yeah. So 3 quick hits, which we've already kind of been hitting on them. So this should just all fall in line. Yeah. The first is I give a workshop that's really popular right now called Drop the Ball. And I think it's because we all struggle with what we can say no to these days, especially post-COVID, where no one wrote the rule book, right? For the past year and a half to 2 years, there's been no guidebook for any of us. And so it's been like, kind of making it up as we go along, or as I was describing earlier, kind of flying the plane and also, making sure that you're not having to fly it with duct tape and baling wire, right? So I feel like that one is huge, figuring out what you can say no to. And so some of these tools that we just talked about, like the Delegate and Elevate tool, is a great one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
There's several of these, but I feel like that's an important thing to start figuring out, is what you can say no to. So develop some filters. And I think the Vision Traction Organizer, it doesn't just have to be for business. You can make a personal 2-page strat plan for your career. And if you do that, you're going to figure out what to say no to a lot easier. So that's the first one. The second one,
and you can also use it for your family life. Just sorry to interrupt, but I there's a lot of EOS guys that are actually using it for their family life, because again, it just gives such a huge clarity around what is important, and then it makes those decisions a hell of a lot easier. So you can actually say hell yes or hell no, as opposed to, well, I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's a great point, because I've heard this phrase before: if it's not a hell yes, then it's probably a no. So that's a great point you make there. The second one, I love to say, is develop your superpower. And in my mind, your superpower is learning emotional intelligence. And the first thing about emotional intelligence is self-awareness.
Yeah.
The second part of this equation is awareness of others. And that means really learning to harness the ability to read a room, read body language, read the situation, and start to think about things not just from your vantage point, but from others. So another workshop that I lead is called Social Styles, literally leveraging your superpower, because it is the quintessential thing in communication amongst teams that goes awry. I'll give you a quick example. On my team, we have multifunctional, cross-functional teams, right? So you've got an account manager that's client-facing, the one that wants to get the client to the yes and is making all these promises. Then you've got, the customer service person who's like the one to kind of the wizard up behind the curtain, making things happen. You've got a designer that wants to kind of tell you if you can or can't per regulations and code. And then you've got a project manager that's making sure the service end is happening. Well, these people are coming from different sides and they have different communication styles. So if you have a driver that's talking to an amiable, they're going to rub each other the wrong way time and again. And so this workshop really gives you the tools to be able to start to learn situationally how to see these things in advance and how to be able to have these conversations so you can both get what you need out of that dialogue, right? I mean, it's getting both of you to the yes. It doesn't have to be win or lose. It can be win-win. And so figuring out how to get there with these tools. And then the third thing that I would suggest is what we've been talking about, which is get your real life MBA. Be hungry. Be hungry for it. It's out there. And so if you have a personal VTO, like what we've been saying, a personal plan for your career or for your life, the things that are most important to you, then you can start to funnel into how to get those tools and resources that you need. And a lot of that stuff is available online for free. And if it's not free, it's pretty darn inexpensive these days. And so you don't have to necessarily go back to school. I'm not saying don't go back to school if that's the right thing for you. Do what you need to do. I'm just saying there's so much available out there. And so have the hunger to go out there and get it. I'm self-taught. I am self-taught, and I feel no shame in that, no shame at all. And so one of the things with my book, the Growth Junkies Unite book, I provide actually the toolkit, all of my source material. I literally provide it as a free toolkit because I want people to have like my top 10 TED Talks. I want them to know where I sourced everything, because that's what I did, right? You start to cull through all the mountains of information into the best stuff, few nuggets that really serve you well, and then grab onto those, right? So get your real life MBA. So those are my top 3
Lovely.
tips.
I actually do something similar. I have a weekly newsletter that I send out where I just curate 3 things each week that I've kind of come across that are my favorite TED Talk or my favorite tool. And just because there is so much stuff out there and it is overwhelming at times to go, well, what should I be doing? What should I be listening to? Hey, there's the new Rocket Fuel University that I saw EOS have actually launched in the last couple of weeks, which is really great for that whole visionary integrator relationship and to sort of learn more about how that works. So there's just so much stuff, as you said, that is free that you can get great advice from and peer group support. Because I think you mentioned at the beginning, having peer groups can be really important in terms of being able to share openly and honestly within a different environment as opposed to your own team.
Oh, I highly recommend that. Get your board of advisors, get your board of directors, your personal board of directors is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Because, you don't have to go spend thousands and join a peer group if you don't want to. You can build your own group out of, the people that you can help and that you need. And that kind of comes back to, now that the tips are coming full circle, knowing what ball to drop. Again, there's such mountains of information out there, such wealth of opportunity. And how do you know how to navigate that and filter it right down to the best few? And in my mind, you can't do that unless you've got kind of a personal plan and some of these decision-making governors, literally these decision gates that give you that yes, no, kind of project flow, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, just to kind of tie this up with a bow, those three kind of go all hand in hand, really.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Hey, so it sounds like your book is a great tool to get started on this journey. Where would we find that? Where would the listeners find your book?
GrowthJunkiesUnite.com. And if people want to reach out, I do have a VIP code, so you can get half off if you come through me. And I do ship internationally.
Excellent.
So there you go. Happy to do that. And I also have the free PDF too. So if somebody wants it that way, I'm happy to send that. Happy to send the free toolkit if they just want that as well.
Cool. So what we'll do is I'll grab that information from you afterwards and I'll publish that on the site with the podcast. Perfect. And in terms of working with you, I mean, I'm again plugging ourselves. I know it sounds a bit, but it's true. I mean, I know that personally, I actually also have a coach, right? Because I think that you need someone to actually better see things from the outside in, and that's really important. And whilst there's a lot of stuff that you can do that you can self-implement, it's great. I really think that accountability and having somebody, the coach that looks in from the outside is really important. So I can see your passion. Your clients must love working with you. What's your kind of ideal client from an EOS perspective, and how would they get hold of you?
Yeah, definitely not afraid of change and growth. They've got to be hungry. Yep. They've got to be willing to kind of look at what they're doing that's contributing to what's working, but also what's not working. Like, celebrate what got you to here, but let's realize together that that's not going to get you to where you want to go, right? You've got to evolve. You've got to grow or die, frankly. It's two ends of that stick, like I said. And so really, I'm looking for that kind of mojo. I want to make sure that the mojo of the leadership team is really going to have the courage and bravery to look at themselves, look at each other, and be able to do what needs to happen to build that muscle that we talked about. So that's the right mojo fit for me, for sure.
Perfect. I'm just going to cough. Excuse me a second.
Go for it.
Something went down my throat the wrong way. Anyway.
Bless you.
Thank you. And so how do they get in contact?
Opportune times.
How do they get in contact with you if they'd like to work with you, Emily?
Sure. So my EOS email is Emily, EMILY, .Ransone, RANSONE. And those are both N as in Nancy. So Emily.Ransone @EOSworldwide.com.
Fantastic.
So there you go.
Wonderful. Hey, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I didn't realize your story, and so it's just so nice to actually have a chance to hear that and also feel your passion. I mean, that's again part of the thing I love about the whole EOS community is that we're all business owners. We've all been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and we're passionate about helping other people get to that same place. So I always love talking to other EOS implementers and other business owners.
I'm forever grateful to my EOS implementer. I really am. There weren't any in the Bay Area and at the time, and we brought her up from LA, and she was the one that encouraged me to become a professional EOS implementer. And I'm forever grateful because I'm truly living what we talk about in terms of that EOS life. I really feel so grateful. So thank you, Deborah. This has been so fun.
It has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for giving me the time. I know it's a different time zone where you are. So thanks for, taking time out in the middle of your day. Really appreciate it. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks again for joining us on Better Business, Better Life with me, your host, Deborah Chantry-Taylor. If you enjoyed what you heard, then please subscribe to this podcast and let us help you to get what you want out of business and life. Each week we release a new short episode which will give a success story and 3 takeouts to put into action immediately. These will help you take your business from good to great. The podcast is also supported by free resources, templates and useful tools, which you can find at deborahchantrytaylor.com. I am a trained entrepreneurial leadership and business coach, a professional EOS implementer, and an established business owner myself. I work with established businesses to help them get what they want. Feel free to contact me if you'd like to have a chat about how I might be able to help you, or if you'd like to join me as a guest on this podcast. Thanks again to NZ Audio Editors for producing this podcast. See you on the next episode.